I am Felipe,
And I am Renee. We are fortunate enough to live in Canada.
and like us, there are many others who are still waiting to be heard.
This is a space for all of us to share our experiences, our ideas, and our victories.
This is our podcast.
Hello, guys. I hope you're having an amazing day. And if not, we are here to make it a little bit happier. Today we have a special guest. He's a friend of mine. He's from a very special country. Um, I I think that he can speak better about him. I met him here in Canada, in college. He wasn't in my program, but he became a friend of mine. We even went to Mexico and everything. He's a very nice person, and I think that he can introduce better himself. So yeah, with less things to say, here we go. Um, Rodrigo.
Sí.
Yep. Can you speak about yourself and introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Rodrigo Díaz. I'm from Venezuela, from Caracas, Venezuela. I've been living here in Canada a little bit more than 3 years. And I just finished my studies at Humber College. And right now, currently, I'm a journalist. And I work in different set of projects, range from like web design, sound mastering, and sound design, and some video editing, and I manage some YouTube channels as well.
Oh, really? That's cool.
Yeah, I just
Yeah.
started doing that recently.
That's awesome, man. So in our podcast, we try to talk about like how we came here, what's the cultural shock, things that we like about Canada, things that we miss from our countries, stuff like that. So if you want to tell us about like how did you came here? Like how did you get here? Like what was your process and stuff like
Yeah. Yeah, so basically, some of you may know Venezuela is not a very easy country to live in terms of security and economic issues. There's no much future. There's no much future for like people who want to like live with a good quality of life. So you have to make a decision. My decision took me around 1 year to come from the conception of it to the moment I executed it to leave. So I had to go through a series of processes. The standard processes that the Canada government asks you for, like you had to send documents, you had to put up some vaccines to go there. You had to send evidence that you have enough money to go there, because I was going there. I went there in the status of a student status. So for the student status, you have to have enough money to pay some the number of semesters you're gonna go into a program. So it's that kind of bureaucratic process. In terms of like family, yeah, I came here alone. My family is still there in Venezuela. So yeah, basically here alone for the first time. You had to search for an apartment before you come here, so a place to live. It's a different climate, a different weather. You had to adjust to it. You had to buy clothes that protect you from the snow. Boots is the most important. Boots are the number one thing you have to like consider on a new park. Yeah, that kind of stuff. And then it's just adjustments from there. Like the Canadians are different from like normal Latin American people. They're less open. Although I think they're a little bit more open than American people. Or I lived in England as well for a while, and a lot more open than like British people. But it's just adjustments, the little adjustments you make along the way that help you like go through this.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Did you
and
had any issue? Like, was it your first time living alone, or were
Well,
you?
alone, yes. Like alone away from my parents, yes. I live alone for a while, but in my own country, well, I mean, I could go to my parents' house, whatever. But away from the country, yeah.
Oh, I see. Like, in my case, I had a lot of issues, like washing my dishes, washing my
Oh
clothes.
no.
Like,
making your
it
bed.
was my first time living alone, so it was like a big shock for me.
Yeah,
No, for me,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I was wondering, how was your childhood in Venezuela? Because you were talking about like not having a future. That's very hard to have like a good
Yeah.
future there. But
Yeah.
how was your childhood, like your memories and stuff like that?
No, my childhood was pretty good. It was a different time. My childhood, I did like any normal kid would do. I was in my country. Like I played with my dad some baseball. I had toys. I was never like I never needed. I never was in need of anything. Like I always had everything I wanted. The thing is, after you graduate from university, like you're gonna look at the jobs, what jobs there are in Venezuela for you to do, and there's not much. Like companies are going away from the country because of the political stance of it.
Mhm.
So it's like you can, and your wage is like marginally low. You cannot like afford anything. You just work to survive, to have the bare minimum necessities. That's if you can live with that, that's fine. Many people do, but some of the people just don't kind of live like that. Just go away from the country.
Yeah, yeah, it's similar to Mexico. Well, like in Mexico, we usually complain a lot about our government, but like we are not in that position yet. Like
No,
what you've lived in Venezuela, like we even look like little kids complaining compared to real problems. But yeah, like I think that it's just a different reality, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And what about your life in England?
I was there. I lived there when I was 15 years old. I went to a public school there. It was basically a scholarship that my parents got. So with three of us lived there.
Oh,
It was a nice time. It was a first good experience. It wasn't my first time traveling because I said I have a good childhood. And in between that good childhood, I was able to travel to the US, to Europe. So it wasn't my first time in Europe, but it was my first time having like a cultural shock because all the time was going like a tourist and stuff like that. And I was living there for like 13 months. So it was a first cultural shock, like noticing that people don't always act the way you think they're gonna act in the sense
Mhm.
that you have in your country. It's a completely different position to be in.
Yeah. What do you think is the biggest difference between England and Canada, as someone who has lived in both countries?
I would say it comes down to the people, like the way the people socialize with you, relate with you. I would find that British people are a lot more close. They're a lot more sectary. They like to be in little groups and stuff like that. Little groups that they know everyone about the group, and they have to be from their own like city. They're very sectary in that case. And here in England, the thing is, here in Canada, I mean, the thing is very difficult to meet like a Canadian guy, right? Because if you go to college, it's like mostly are international, not mostly, but I would say 40% of the people you come across, depending on your program, it varies. Uh, Depending on your program, you're gonna find international students. In at least where I was in England, it was Oxford. That's not the case. They're all English people, locals. So, but the few Canadians I met, they're very friendly. There's a certain line, like there's not like 100% confidence in you, like 100% trust, but there's a line, but it's much, much like further away than you would get with a British people, in my experience.
so here they trust more like international people.
Everyone, I think they're more trusting here, more
Yeah,
trusting, more
well, like,
open, more friendly.
yeah, and we are like at least you and me, like we live in Toronto, right? So I think that
Yeah.
it's a very cosmopolitan city, you know, like literally you can't go to a mall and not see like international people. Like it's like very normalized here, like compared to Mexico City, um, as you say, like Oxford, stuff like that. Like I feel that here it's already like in the culture, you know, like it's already there. Like it's a mix of everything instead of just like Canadian culture. That's very interesting, and I think that it makes it easier for everyone, like to
Yeah.
understand like the differences. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Um,
you mentioned you went to Mexico.
Yeah. Been to Mexico, well, 3 times.
Mhm.
Wait, I don't know if 2 or 3 times. I don't remember the first and the second time. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. But the third time I went, it was in December. I spent New Year's, Christmas, and Christmas over there with my parents. They took a trip there. We have a common friend there who invited us, so we all reunited kind of in there. I reunited with my parents before in Texas. Yeah, the first year I came here in December. But yeah, I've been to Mexico. It's very similar in terms of people, like in my country. It's very, very similar. Like the way they treat you, the way you act. There's a little bit more of like, I would say, like services, like people, the way they treat you is more like, I don't know how to explain. It's like more, I don't really know how to explain in English. It's like, I don't know. The way they treat you is more like, sir, like you sir, and not, hey, what's up, man? It's like, sir, like, hello, sir, and my country's like, what's up, you know?
Like formal,
like,
or
it's like everything. When you go to a restaurant, when you are walking, when you talk to someone you don't know.
I remember you mentioned it. Yeah. Like they treat you as, yeah, like I don't even know how to say it in English.
That's yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean. So this is the thing in Mexico, like when you go to a restaurant, or, well, especially restaurants, right? Like that's where I can understand you. Like, because when he went to Mexico, we dined together and everything. And we went to a restaurant, and I remember that he was very shocked by how they treat you there. And it's because they, like the waitresses in Mexico and waiters, they treat you like very formal. Like they treat you as if you, like a boss, you know, like, oh, can I bring you this? Can I bring you that? Are you okay with this?
That's a client.
Yeah, to the client. Yeah. Like it's very formal. And here in Canada, I've seen it, but it's like more friendly. Like here, it's like they treat you as a friend, not as a client. Yeah. I know what you mean. Yep. Do you have any other question, Rene? Or
Yeah. You mentioned you're doing journalism. Did you go to school for that here or in Venezuela?
Both. I graduated bachelor's degree from journalism in Venezuela. I came here. That's the thing. I came here to do something related to computer science, information technology solutions, which is like developing apps for. I didn't know anything about it. Supposedly, the program was meant for people who didn't have any experience in the matter. It wasn't the case. I had to drop from that program, and then I said, well, if I cannot really, I just go for the safe thing. I'm just going to do journalism again. So because you're going to come here, that's the thing. Many people don't know. You cannot come here in Canada and say, oh, I got a bachelor's in journalism and start working. No, that's not how it works. Canadian government, like they're very strong, very, very, very keen on you studying here for any kind of position. They value Canadian education over anything else you can get outside. So I did the journalism program. That was a year and a half, and like from the first 5 months, I got an internship, and that's the work I'm doing right now. The same employer. I've been doing that work for over 2 years now.
And where is it?
That's great.
Oh, it's a newspaper. It's like a digital outlet. It's called El Centro Newspaper. El Centro Newspapers. It's called an outlet. We used to print once a week. Now with the COVID, we're just printing like once every week, once every 2 weeks or something like that. But we do digital news, like local news, Toronto news. Sometimes we do international, depending on the situation. But it's mostly like local news.
And what's your main role there?
I'm a writer, reporter. I do everything.
Everything.
A writer, editor, yeah. Writer, editor, reporter, everything. I do the interviews. I write it. I send it. I pretty much. I think I'm the only employee. Most of the people are collaborators. I'm like the only employee there.
Yeah. And what's the difference between? Yeah. What's the difference between like journalism school here and in Venezuela?
It's a huge difference. First of all, I did this different program. I did a graduate program, which is 3 years. This is like a postgraduate study, which is a year and a half. The main difference I found, there's two main things. The first thing is like the Canadian code for writing. It's not just, oh, I've been to US and I know. No, it's completely different. It's completely different. There are words that it's very similar to the British grammar sometimes in terms of that. And then there's another thing that is with the law part of it. They're very secretive here with the law, like with the police and everything. You don't hear anything about something, a case or a murder until like weeks after, because they don't really release the details of it. Like in the US, you can go walk into a trial room. Oh, I'm gonna know. Here, if you walk into a trial room, you cannot record. And you can do voice recording on your own accord, but if they discover that you did voice recording and the judge doesn't like it because it's legal, you can do it. But if the judge says no, you can go to jail. Like there's many differences there, and there's like the stuff with the that's everywhere. But here they enforce it a lot harder with the picture, with the copyrights and all that stuff.
Yeah, like something that I really found interesting about here, it's like how, I don't know, like when it comes like to those postgraduate what's the name, like the college, like the little courses that you take like once you are graduated.
Diplomas?
Like no, like the other one, the one that it's like just for 1 year.
Postgrads?
Yeah,
I think they're postgrad programs.
Yeah, they are only 1 year. I've noticed that a lot of people like come here just like expecting like to take it and then get a job right away. But they, like we've talked about it, like how you need at least 2 years here, like so that you can apply for your work permit for 2 years and have like 1 year of searching a job, right?
3 years even. 3 years. They give it for 3 years. But if you come here for a year, I have in my second program, because I did 2 programs after I dropped from the other one, I did post-production because I wanted, because they don't, that's the other thing. I dropped and they won't count the credits I did in that program. There's no, that I lost that money. Everything's lost there. I didn't do it. That was a waste of time. But I did journalism and then I combined it with postgraduate. And after that was one period that I was investigating, researching about it, and they combined those two. You combine. As long as you have continuous education, they combine it and you can get up to 3-year work permit. One of the guys, one of my friends on the second program, he did only 1 year and he's getting 1 year work permit. You can get 1 year, but if you're like aiming towards the PR, permanent residence, you are gonna have a very tough time, especially in these times that the score is very high. It's like 4,000 something. It's very, very tough right now.
Yeah, like I think that it would only work like if they have like the good luck that you have, like you've been working 2 years for a
Location,
type A work, because you're working on something that you study, right? And that's considered a type A.
It's not as simple. The work you do while you study doesn't count. It has to be. It cannot be part-time work either. So you only can do full-time jobs after you study the work. But there's some rumors, I don't know if that's true, that because of the COVID or everything that's happening, they're gonna make some exceptions and some considerations because of the compassion, all that stuff they said here in the government. They're going to like consider those hours that you did during college and everything. That's a rumor that hasn't been officially confirmed. It's just something, but legally, no, you have to work full time. And as far as I'm concerned, journalism is not in the job category that would give you the requirements for the PR. So yeah, it's not.
Why? Like you study for it. That shouldn't be the case. At least
it shouldn't be the case. But there's like a little, for example, I read something the other day that some jobs, some positions require you to get a work permit, and journalism is not one of them.
Wow.
Like you can keep doing journalism here, and you don't need a work permit. It doesn't require you. It's not inside the NOC, the National Occupation Category. It's not on the NOCs. That's what but that could change. But right now, I don't think so. I'm not 100% sure of this, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't count.
Damn.
Yeah. So I'm kind of looking for. That's what I did for post-production. I'm doing some other jobs. I have some other gigs. But the thing is, I'm doing gigs. I'm I'm doing by contract, like a five month stuff that doesn't count either. So that my for reals, like when I get my work permit, I'm gonna ask my newspaper, because my newspaper is very flexible. If they can give me, I'm not working full time right now. I'm working part time, and like I said, many projects. But when I get my work permit, I'm gonna ask my newspaper if they can do the
Full time.
the full time, yeah, a full time contract with me. The other thing right now is like I don't have health insurance right now because the college health insurance is gone. It's not here anymore. Like it's already expired. It doesn't do. So for right now, if I don't have a full time job that does everything, all that for me, I have to pay for my own health insurance. That's what I have to start doing right now. But I'm gonna wait till I talk to my newspaper and see if they can give me that contract. If they don't give it to me, I have to
Find somewhere else.
I have to pay for my own health insurance. So it's not as easy as you may say. Oh, I finished my program. It's not like that. You had to deal with it, all that stuff after, in between, and before.
Yeah. Like that's something that even I forgot about. Like the insurance. Like I had it in mind, right? Especially right now that with COVID, like it's something that you have in your mind very clear, like that you don't have an insurance. But yeah, like it's something that everyone should consider. Like if wants to come here and live here, like once you graduate, your insurance is gonna end, and you need to pay for it unless you find a good job.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Also,
you have to actually have. Tell me.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about the point system because you said earlier that some jobs give you certain points.
Yeah, there's like when I first researched coming here, there's like a category in the immigration. I don't remember the whole name, like the immigration ministry, and the website, that there's a NOC national occupation category, that there's a number of jobs in separating different categories from the category 0 to category B or D. I don't remember the letters, but I don't remember this exactly either. But there are some categories that don't count towards your hours if you want to do your points you get through PR if you want to. Yeah, there you go. This guy, skill level 0, A, B, that stuff.
Okay.
Precisely. So, for example, if you work at Walmart, Best Buy, like a shop clerk, an associate, they call it here an associate, that doesn't count.
Okay.
That you could get the money, it's fine, you get the benefits, monetary benefits, but that won't count towards your PR. Like you have to be like Felipe said, like a profession that is actually, you need to study for it. Like you need a title to be able to work on that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
like electricians don't need a title.
Yeah, like working on Walmart or Baskin and Robbins, stuff like that.
No.
Like
you can do it.
You need to sell yourself to the government. Like you need to prove them that, hey, I can be useful here. Like who needs another guy from Walmart? Not to be rude with the guys from Walmart, but like there are a lot of people in Walmart or in Amazon, you know? Like no one needs another Amazon guy. Like you need to prove yourself. Like you need to prove the government that you're useful for it. Like I think because a lot of people go like with, I can do it. I don't have any issue. Like I can just work at Walmart or in a random place. And yeah, like at the end, you're gonna try to apply for the PR and they are gonna deny it to you. And
I mean, it's not that they're gonna deny it. You don't need that specifically. It's not a requirement. It just gives you more points. You don't need it.
I see.
Yeah. It's not a requirement. Just get, like, for example, let's say if you have a family member living here, that's a huge amount of points. Like literally, for example, there are all the ways. You ideally you will have that full-time job. You will get the points. I don't remember how many points it is. It's not a huge amount. It's a good amount of points. But there's other ways. There's like provincial nomination, which I've been looking at. I don't have exact details on that. How do you get that? But that's the best way to get like a. But you don't. It's not a requirement. Let's be clear. It's not. You don't need that. Just the number of points will go up if you have that. That's what I'm worried about it, but it's not the end of the world for me. Like I was saying with the situation with my journalistic job.
Oh, I see. I thought that it was like if you don't have this kind of job, like GG, like you're done.
No, if you get, I mean, it's very important you have it, but it's not like, oh, your ID, your birth certificate is not a requirement like set in stone. It's just something that's there to give you points and something they encourage you to do.
I see.
But if the scores go lower, because I think they're going to have to lower the scores right now. The scores are very high. So when the scores go lower, that might be a possibility someone can apply without it. But still, I like to say that it's very important to have that. I will try to get it, but if I cannot get it, there are other ways. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So in another question, like, did you have any cultural shock here? Like something that you were like, oh, you don't see this very often.
Yeah, especially with, they say here there's freedom of speech, right?
Yeah.
But that's not really truth. You cannot, there's a difference in the, how would I say that? So for example here, freedom of speech, okay, but if you, for example, if you insult another person in a way, especially the minorities, you could actually go to jail. If they can sue you, you can go to jail. If you insult, you don't do violence, nothing, just like verbal violence. You cannot like, for example, if a woman or a man, it applies to both, feels like you're being rude to them in the sense that you're going to the street saying, oh, you're so pretty, or you know what I'm saying, right? It's not that you're going like catcalling, right? You could go to jail. You have to pay fines and you could go to jail. It's like, it's not, there's a line between freedom of speech and something here they call hate speech. Just, you cannot, so that's a little bit difficult to understand. They say there's freedom of speech, but that's not really, in my opinion, that's not the case.
Yeah, it's a different way to, like, for me, it's a different kind of violence, you know, when you try to put like rules and tell people what to say, what to not, it's a different kind of violence, even if you are trying to see it like
censorship,
in a better way to put things. Like even talking about this, it's dangerous, you know, people can be like, oh, they are trying to say that it's good to say the N-word or stuff like that, when like we're just saying that we shouldn't really tell people what they can say and what they can't.
I mean, here they say their education is very good. That's why I'm here, of course.
Yeah.
But they boost on their education. They say, so if your education is that good, right? You should be confident that your citizens have the conscience to not go through that hate speech path, right? Not call the N-word. I mean, you know, not do this, not do catcalling in the street. Don't be rude to the people and stuff like that. But I mean, if you're gonna impose that, like, I don't know, it's like a contradiction. Like if you're not bringing up your citizens well enough, so you have to impose like the hate speech stuff. So I think it's just censorship, and that's been one of the cultural shocks. The other cultural shocks is like, I thought that all the people ate here was maple syrup, right? That's all I thought. Maple syrup, and I talked to some people here. Maple syrup is not really that popular here. Like, it's like the national dish, like poutine, which is potatoes on gravy. That's it. And cheese. That's it. That's I thought it was a maple syrup, and like they have like a French part, right? So it's the cuisine must be like, I don't know, escargot and stuff like that. No, it's a poutine, like, potatoes, gravy, and burgers. So you love burgers. There's a lot of like in America, like in the States, there's a lot of obese people because there's like chains everywhere, and you can just go in there and eat there. It's like, I don't know. It's like, it's very similar to, I find it very similar to the U.S. in that sense, and the way the malls are, like in the street. You go 2 miles from here, there's a mall. 5 miles where there's a mall on the side of the street. It's all the same structures. Same thing, like in Walmart, there's a shop, there's a McDonald's or whatever, a Shoppers, and that kind of stuff. Like, it's very similar, but the amount of products they have here I find in comparison to the US is a lot less, more austere. It's like
Yeah.
they're more. I don't know how to explain it. I go to a US shop. I remember going to Tech the last time I went was in Texas, and they have a lot more variety. Here's like they have variety in comparison to other places I've lived, of course, but I don't know. There's something missing. There's still a lot. Don't get me wrong, but there's something. I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
There's
Like even from
something.
Mexico, it's like very different. Like
Yeah,
you can tell here that they don't have so many things. But
yeah.
also like
It's weird. I
they
don't know.
really put like Canadian things, you know?
Yeah,
Like
they're very
things that
proud.
are
They're
my
very
favorite.
buy Canadian stuff like that. Canadian products are good. I
Yeah,
enjoy it. And they're cheaper as well. So of course
yeah,
I'm gonna
yeah.
get those.
Yeah, it's not like they are bad, but it's interesting to see how much they put like
Yeah.
Canadian stuff in
Yeah. For
in
example,
like Walmart and
Canadian
stuff like
bacon.
that.
Canadian bacon. It's not
Yeah,
really bacon. It's like the back. It doesn't have that much grease. Of course, that's better for your health, but the flavor's not the same.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
stuff like that, like Canadian bacon, that kind of stuff. But I cannot really recall. I cannot really other cultural shocks that I had. Like I said, I've been to many different parts of the world. Living is like adapting, but all the things I think they were kind of what I was expecting in terms of
Yeah.
general things like the way that people act. Of course, I speak English. I knew English before, so it wasn't really that difficult for me to adapt, other than those things I mentioned about especially when you do journalism, like the secretive nature of the crimes, the police and all that stuff, the RCMP, all the secrets and all the hiding, the results will be in a month or whatever. Like they just discovered what was this news? A little girl that got murdered like 50 years ago, and they just unveil new evidence and stuff, like new ways of new technologies to unveil some of the evidence they didn't have before. So it came up today, but sources tell that they had the information a month ago. That kind of stuff. So they confirm it, they reconfirm it. I don't know what they do. Is like, that's the only thing. Like there's so much secretive stuff. Like I don't know. And
Yeah,
then
like I think that's something that really shook me when I came here. It was like in Mexico City, we have a lot of crime, right?
yeah,
Like you always hear about like, oh, they killed 10 people, or you know, like it's always like death and shit like that, right? But here it's like when they kill one person, you hear it everywhere.
oh yeah, you
That
mean
that
that?
really
Yeah,
shook me. It
yeah,
was like wow. Like even
yeah. I
the
forgot to
Amber
mention
Alert.
that. Yeah, I forgot to mention
Mhm.
that. Like in my country, Venezuela, you see, I don't know. The last time when I came here in a weekend, I saw like 80 people killed in my city, something like that. And you're desensitized, right? You know, oh,
Yeah.
80 people. Okay. Oh, it wasn't 100 like last week. Okay, okay. So here's like people, two persons died in a crash. Because
Yeah, yeah.
that's the worst. Like that, cancer and crashes, I think, are the highest causes of deaths in here. Not kill, not murders, just accidents
Yeah.
and diseases. So it's kind of different. It's like if one people is killed, like there was a person that got killed near here. I remember they were shooting a rap video or something like that, and because there's organized crime here. There's not light, so there's organized crime here as well, but it's different.
Yeah.
They don't kill anybody. They kill targeted people. If you have the bad luck to be around, will get hurt. They don't care. But you don't go around like, oh, you take your phone out and they will no. It's not like that. You can go with your phone. It's not recommendable. You can go with your phone 3 a.m. in the morning in the street walking. Nobody's gonna care about a phone. Like
Yeah.
they don't care. It's different. Here's like they killed a guy near here. They just came in with the Uzi weapons, with automatic weapons, start shooting, and hurt like 3 people and killed the guy. That kind of stuff. That happens, I don't know, once a month, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I didn't know, but Mexico City, it's like the first city in the world of having kidnappings.
Yeah, I heard.
So
Yeah.
here, when you know how you get like the alarm of the Amber Alert.
Yeah,
Umbrella.
Like in Mexico, we don't even have it. It would be really
Yeah,
bad.
it's like the siren.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah, it
siren.
goes to your phone. If you don't have it on silent, you're gonna hear it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, like even if you have your cell phone
Oh,
on silent, right?
I haven't silent. I don't hear it. Literally, I don't hear it.
Oh,
I
really?
just get the pop up on the screen.
Oh, I see. But yeah, like I remember the first time it sounded, like I was like, oh no, what is this? Like I thought that it was a missile or something like that.
No, the
Like
most annoying thing is that here in Ottawa we get the Amber Alert from Toronto. So we're
oh
like,
really?
yeah, we're like, what do we do? Like it's in
It's the
Toronto.
whole. I think they give it to all Ontario. I think every
Yeah.
place in Ontario. Like I don't know. Like the last one, I think it was in Niagara Falls or something like that. And they found the dad or something like that. It was like 3 kids. The kids were safe, but the dad committed suicide or
yeah.
something like
Yeah.
that. Niagara Falls. No, there was another one after that, but I don't remember. No, that was like last week or something like that. It's not that. It's not. I mean, it's not that common. The most it happens like twice a month. That's the most I've seen it. I haven't seen more than that. It's not that common. But yeah, definitely in Venezuela, it's like kidnapping. Like you talk to, I don't know, talk to 10 people, probably 8 of them got robbed or kidnapped more than once. Easy. Like
Yeah,
very.
that's
I
what
got
I'm
kidnapped
saying.
from
Like
myself. I would
like
know.
it's completely like our realities are way different. Like if you tell someone from a Canadian like, oh, I got robbed once, you're
Oh,
like,
they go.
oh,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And then you're like, yeah, in Mexico it's very normal. Like 5 of 10 people are gonna tell you that they were robbed. But then you come from Venezuela and you're like, yeah, 8 of 10 are gonna tell you that they
Yeah.
got robbed. It's like way different realities, right?
I have 3 years here and never been robbed.
Yeah, me
Never
neither.
have feared. I was even the only time there was something dangerous happening was I was hours before the shooting on the Toronto Raptors parade. That was the most dangerous thing I've been, and I wasn't even at the moment. I was like before because I was reporting, I was taking some pictures and stuff. That was it. That was the most dangerous thing that's happened to me here. And some cars that don't see me while I'm walking and stuff like that. That's the most different. That's the most. But I always look in the street because in my country is like the streets are the same. That's the other thing. Here, like they'll have all these stop signs in the streets, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you cross when it's not, I mean, don't do it. But if you cross when it's not signalized for you to do so, they have to stop.
Yeah, but I think that they're very, like, how to say it, like, they act like machines, you know? Like, if it says don't cross, they don't even look, like, to see if someone is walking. They just go, and then you are in front of them, so they stop, like, what happened? Like they get in shock. Like, they don't have the ghetto things that we have in Mexico and in Venezuela, you know? In Venezuela and Mexico, kids are playing in the streets, and so, like, even when you are learning how to drive in Mexico, the first rule is like if you see a ball rolling, you need to stop because a kid goes for the ball.
Means, yeah.
And I don't think that they teach that here, you know, because I haven't seen kids playing in the street. Like I've never seen that.
I've seen
it depends.
Some close neighborhoods like those drives.
Yeah,
I've seen
like,
some.
Yeah, like outside the city, like the suburbs and stuff.
Oh, I see. Yeah,
because
here where I live, I don't see that. I really haven't seen that.
I don't exactly, you say I live in Toronto. I don't really live in Toronto. I live in Mississauga.
Oh,
which is like, I live in near Humber College, like really close.
Yeah.
So I live near Mississauga, and you can see like in some close drives, there's like basketball rings and on the backyards, and they go. Sometimes you see the ball going off the driveway and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I remember one really huge cultural shock that I had when I came here. It was like literally when I came with my dad here. Like we went to Yorkdale, that it's like the big mall, and we went like literally inside, and there was this Sephora place, and they had like these you know, the screens like showing the models and everything, and we saw a guy with makeup, right, like with beard and makeup, and in Mexico you don't see that. So even my dad was like I never saw that. Like, did you saw that, Rene?
Yeah, in my school, in tech.
Oh, well, like, yeah, your school was way bigger than mine. Like in my school and in my bubble, there was no one like that. Like I've never saw that. So, well, like I knew that it was something that happens, right? Like it's not like, oh, that doesn't exist. But like, I don't know, like seeing that open, like in a, you know, in a wallpaper and everything. Like even my dad is old, right? Like he's 60 something. So he was like, yeah, we're not in Mexico. And I was like, yeah, we're not in Mexico.
Like,
But yeah, like, and it's like, for me, I don't care, you know, it's like very normal. I got used to it. But for my dad, it's like something that it's like, wow, like this way different than what I
Yeah,
grew up with.
that's the same. That's the same. Like if you come here, like you have to be very open about what you see because you're gonna see some things here that might be not normal for you, but they're very common here, and that's so that those are part of these minorities I'm talking about. Those minorities get defended very, 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 very strongly by the government. So you cannot really you have to be very careful what you do in terms of stereotypes and stuff you have from that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I stay quiet. I don't really. It doesn't affect. If it,
Or
not that I no, no, no.
you
That,
remember?
that's another difference in England. I remember.
Oh, really?
Yeah. There's I remember there was like I'm big into football. We call it soccer here, but whatever.
Yeah.
We were going. I was 16 or 15. I don't remember. We were going. We were like there was like the FA Cup is like the league tournament they play over there, the Premier League. It's a cup. Every team from each division plays the FA Cup. So we were going to see the draw at one of the guys' home, and everyone was gathering around and let's go. And we went outside the school after our classes. So we're just going to this guy's house and everything. And halfway through, the owner of the house stops me in the street and he tells me, "What are you doing, man?" I say, "Oh, I'm going to your house like everyone else to see the drawing, right?" He said, "No, you cannot come." And I asked, "Why?" They said, "Oh, because you're not English." That kind of stuff. That was the first time ever. And I think it's the only time like it's been like that blatant. Here, I've noticed there's discrimination a lot against Indian people, a lot, but against me personally, I haven't felt anything. I really no, I cannot recall anything honestly. He's been very good in that aspect, to be honest.
What about you, Rene? Have you ever been discriminated?
I mean, not really. People usually think I'm Canadian until they hear me talk. And
Yeah,
then
he's too white. I'm kidding.
also like sometimes people complain about how, for example, my new roommates, they complain about how I make my quesadillas, which is like tortilla and cheese. They're like, "Put something else on your quesadillas." Like, what? I've never seen that. Like maybe like ham or something. But they're like peppers and onion, and I was like, no, thank you. And then they just bully me, but like it's not like actual like, discrimination.
Yeah, it's just a play, yeah, jokes and
Yeah.
stuff. It's not serious.
Yeah.
Like in my case, I remember one time I was going back from Humber, like to my house. It was not that late. It was like around 6, and I was in the bus, right? Like I had like this drawing big ass roll of paper, and I remember that I was at the back of the bus, right? Like doing my own business, like listening to music, and like 4 or 5 guys, black guys, entered like to the bus, and like it was empty, right? Like the back part of the bus was fully empty, and one guy comes up to me and he just tells me, "Shift, like move," right? And I was like, "Why?" And I remember that they all start like bullying me. Like they were like, "Oh, I'm gonna kick you in the head." And I was like, "Hey, I'm sitting. Let me listen to my song." And yeah, like they were like, "Oh, go back to your home." And I was like,
Oh shit.
"Bro, like, why are you discriminating me?" Like, I don't know. For me, it was a huge shock, you know, because like black people always fight for that, right? Like for equalness, right? Like equality and stuff like that. So for me, it was like, why, like, what is this, right? And And even like there were people that they didn't say anything, like they didn't calm them down. And I was pissed. Like I was like, wow. But yeah, like that's the only time that I've been discriminated. That it was openly discrimination, you know? Like they
Yeah,
were like, oh,
yeah,
go back to your country. I was like,
yeah.
really? Yeah, like I don't know, like that was the only time. But yeah.
That's very unfortunate for me. Fortunately, I never. That the only that's the England the thing I mentioned about it in England. That's the only thing here. I learned a lesson from you. I'm never sitting in the back of the bus. That's a that's a lesson I learned here.
Yeah,
Oh,
like
my image just went boom. Sorry about that.
It's all right.
yeah, don't worry.
Let
But
me
yeah,
just-
like I think that also like one big issue that people that come here do, it's like they stay with the people that speak their language, you know, like they don't try to improve their English. Like
yeah,
I
yeah,
think that they should do it, like because if not, like you live in a bubble. Like you're only gonna hang out with people that speak your language.
yeah, yeah. I understand that. Like I was, for example, in my first program, it was really cool because I was with another Mexican friend, Isaac, you know,
Yeah,
and there's a Korean guy, in my bubble, and then a Ukrainian guy. So we all speak English, and that was pretty cool. I actually never just Isaac, and then it's been like a girl from who was she from? I don't remember. There was from one of those European Scandinavian countries, and then it was people from India, mostly people from India. There was another guy from India. Yeah, but I know what you're saying. Like when my parents were in Texas, they were just interacting with like Latin people, literally.
yeah, like I mean, I feel like you mentioned like some discrimination with Indian people, like that it's the
Yeah,
majority. At least here in Toronto, I don't know how it is in Montreal. I mean in
You
Ottawa.
know,
Ottawa.
But like I feel that some of that discrimination comes because like a lot of Indian people that I've noticed, like they don't care about learning English and they only hang like with their people. Like even we had a guest from India and he said the same thing, right? Like there are a certain kind of Indian people that they stick with Indian people. Like they are not very interested on hanging with more international people. And I think that
Yeah,
that creates segregation, right? Like even if it's not like from Canadian people or the international people, like if someone doesn't want to speak with you or doesn't have the minimum interest, like they are just gonna be like left behind, you know? Well, like they create
yeah,
their own bubble. Because I think that it's good like to speak your native language. Like for example, when I talk with you with Rene, like we don't speak in English unless we are recording this.
recording.
Yeah, like we usually speak in Spanish, but like I'm not gonna speak in Spanish if I'm with Rene and another Canadian friend of an international friend.
Yeah, like
Like
last summer when my
yeah,
cousin, you and I were together, and then your friend, we were speaking English all together,
yeah,
right?
yeah, because you create like these bundles, like you bond with people. Like it's nice to know like the different type points of view, like how in different countries think. Like it's very interesting. At least I really like that. And I don't know, like I'm a very shy person, right? So if I only stick like with Mexican people and stuff like that, at least in my program there was very little people. I think that I was the only one that speaks Spanish. And if not, like I never spoke to them. Like I don't even know if they speak. Because something that also happens, I don't know if it happened to you. It's like you see someone that looks like Mexican or well, like Latin American, like we have like some resemble, and like you try to speak to them in Spanish, and they are like, "Oh, I'm Canadian, but my dad is from Honduras, right?" And then you're like, "Oh shit."
I went the opposite way. I went the opposite way. the first person I met was Isaac,
Oh yeah.
and he was like, no, I saw him, and I knew he was Mexican. I knew it from the first time, but I talked to him in English. I said, hey man, how are you doing, bro? What's your name? Isaac. Oh. And then after like 5 minutes, I say, ¿hablas español? I said, yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
oh, he told me, oh, pues empezamos por ahí. Okay, let's go. So we start from we speak Spanish, but when we work with other friends, like we speak English all the time, we try to communicate like in English most of the time. So
Yeah, like
but yeah,
it's good, like,
I don't remember.
to open your boundaries, you know?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. We tried to learn
Like-
Korean, but it was tough.
yeah, because even Koreans have the same issue. Well, like
Yeah,
Koreans and Chinese people, they have the same issue. Like they stick only with Korean people.
Yeah,
only with Chinese
yeah.
people.
The Korean guy that was in our bubble, he invited us to a party. It was all Koreans. All Koreans.
I don't know. I feel that if you are trying to come here, try to open yourself. Like you are gonna make more friends. Know
Yeah,
the different.
It's gonna be a
ways to
better
think.
experience.
Yeah,
yeah.
it's a more complete experience.
Yeah, you need to get out of your zone of comfort if you're shy or introvert. You need to get. I'm not really like extrovert or anything, but I'm not that shy. I mean, if there's a person I want to talk, I will just talk to it. I don't really. I was like that before, but I just stopped thinking about what people thought about me a long time ago. I didn't care about it. Just lost all that. So
I think that
but-
you're a very nice person. Like you're a good person.
Well, thank
to
you,
talk
man.
with.
You're
Yeah.
you're a nice person to talk
Like,
to.
I don't talk to you very often. Like that's
Mhm.
that's me. Like that's my. I don't know.
Lame.
It's not like it's my
Lame.
fault, you know. Like, but whenever I talk with you, I have a good time. It's a good conversation. Like we have fun. I don't know. You're a good person to talk with. Even
Well,
with
thank you,
women,
man.
it's the same thing. Yeah. So yeah, like, so
It's good to
other
know.
questions that we have, like, what do you like the most here in Canada? What you don't like here in Canada? And the same for your country.
First of all, I like the weather, like the cold. I love the cold. Like I love when it's like right now it's a little bit too hot for me. It's like 17. I don't like 17. I like 10, 8, 5 around that area. When it gets to minus, I'd rather like I always say, I'd rather die frozen than die burned. That's what I always say when we go like that. So yeah, that's the first thing. The second thing is like this before the COVID. Okay, I'm not considering COVID. Whatever. Like the public services, it's a little expensive, the buses and stuff, but it's so like I see people complaining on the social media. Oh my God, there's a delay on this bus, but I only have like 2 delays in it, like 2 problems in 3 years. 2. Well, I don't go downtown every day. I don't work downtown. Okay, but the times I take the bus and it's been like many early in the morning, in the afternoon, late at night, the last train, whatever. I haven't had any issues. 2 or 3 times. That's it in 3 years and something. The things I don't like. Yeah, like I said, I was expecting like this is the first world country. Right? I was expecting a little bit more of that freedom of speech that we're talking about, that kind of stuff. So that mostly is like kind of the government position on some political correct issues. That's nothing that minor. And the other thing I don't like, I don't know. It's very difficult to. It's very little things. It's not something general like the crime. I don't like how people don't follow the rules. It's like very little things that I have to think about really carefully, and those things are not gonna really affect my enjoyment of my life here. There's very little things like that stuff I mentioned about the government building extremely political correct, that kind of stuff. There's very little things. I mean, I love the weather.
So you're just picking at this point, right? Like
I just
you're
pick
having-
picking. I have to look, and then I say, this little thing here, this little thing there. I'm picking at this point. Yeah, it's like
something that you love about your country and something that you hate about your country. Like if you don't want to go political or anything, like it's up to you.
I hate 90% of the things in my country. To be honest with you, the things I love, of course, my family. Some of the food, I'm not really. People criticize me for this, but there's like a very traditional dish in my country. It's called arepas. arepas.
You don't like them?
And everyone loves it. Everyone loves it. I don't care. I can live without it. I don't really. I don't dislike it, but I can live without it. My favorite dish in my country is called something called cachapas. I don't know if you heard about it.
No, I've tried arepas, but I haven't tried those
Yeah,
ones.
cachapas. I love them. I have some. My mom last time we met, she brought me some of the packs. I have them on the freezer right now. Trying to search for proper cheese. That's one of the things I hate about Canada. They don't have the cheese I want. The fresh cheese. I tried to search in Mexico. It's not there either, so I don't know what cheese I'm gonna put on that stuff. So some of the food, I would say, I have very good friends and not even friends, acquaintances that I hang with. Like I used to go to this place, to this street court where we play like street soccer all the time, like mostly like 3 times a week or something like that. Here's like, even if you're not an introvert or something, it's very difficult to get because of the groups. Like, for example, when it was a little bit warmer, I usually go for runs around here because there's a nice trail around here where you can go for runs, you can go for stretching, for some fresh air. And there were a lot of people playing football, and I was like, oh my god, I want to join. So I stopped. I was halfway to my run, and I just stopped. And they were all like Arabian, Arabic. They were all speaking Arabic. They were. So I asked one of the guys who were like waiting on the sides to enter. I said, hey man, can I play with you? And I said, well, there's only 2 teams, and when these guys get tired, we get in. So, well, no, okay, I cannot play, right? No, okay. So I just leave. So it's like that kind of stuff. Like in my country was just go in the court, just wait with the team, and just go in, and the way we communicate, like the slang we use is different. That kind of stuff. That kind of stuff I miss. That's the kind of stuff. But I mean, it doesn't. You cannot put that against having like the quality of life you have here. Like I said, I expected that kind of quality of life. It didn't surprise me or anything, but it's just if you spend more than a year here, like actually living here, not just as a tourist or on a set amount of time with a scholarship or something, it's different. I mean, you came to get used to certain benefits you get here in terms of quality of life. If I were to go back to Venezuela, even all the stuff I say I love about my country, I don't think it would be enough to like.
Yeah, I think that would be the last question. Like, I think that at this point it's a little bit dumb to ask it, but like, would you go back to your country?
No, no, no way.
Yeah.
No way. I'm doing everything that I could do to stay here, and I'm not going back there. No, definitely not.
Yeah, I feel that Canada really appreciates everything. Like it opens your mind, like they appreciate your work. Like, I don't know, like when I go back to Mexico, people ask me like, hey, would you come back like once you graduate or anything? And I'm like, no, like they really don't appreciate your work. Like you're gonna get paid very bad. And as it's the same thing, going back like to different realities. Like you are not going back because living in Venezuela it's extremely difficult, but in Mexico, like it's a little bit easier, but still, like they don't appreciate your work. Like if I go to Mexico, if I get paid like very well, it's gonna be more or less what I get here with minimum wage. So it's not fair.
Yeah.
Like they don't appreciate your work.
Well, here it's like an hour of work. It's like 4 times the wage in my country or something like that.
Yeah, same here.
Monthly salary. So it's like, no.
Yeah. What about you, Rene? Would you go back to Mexico?
I don't know.
I don't
think so. I don't
like,
think
of
so.
course, you can go like.
It's a little bit more
vacation.
diplomatic. It's a little bit more diplomatic about it. I don't know.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
if like next year when I get my citizenship, like there would be like
no,
point.
but to leave, like.
Yeah, like that's what I'm saying. There would be like no point of like living in Mexico if I have a citizenship.
Also, you already have your citizenship set up.
I have my PR.
Oh,
Yeah,
I have 1 year left to apply for the citizenship.
His father married a Canadian lady, so yeah, he has everything set.
nice.
He has the.
That's the only thing. That's the other thing. If you find a nice Canadian girl, a nice Canadian guy, take your chances, because that's the fastest, well, not the fastest, but the more secure way to get your stuff
Felipe.
to get here.
So if you're a Canadian girl,
Oh.
I'm
Call
single.
Felipe.
Looking for single Canadian girls.
Nah, I mean, if I get the citizenship, I want to get it by my own merits. Like knowing that I
mean, it's kind of your own
if it gets difficult, yeah,
COVID.
yeah,
COVID.
yeah. I mean, it was nice having you here. Like, you were a very nice guest. Really
Thank you
enjoyed
very
talking
much.
with
You
you
are.
and everything.
Yeah,
You are.
what's the pleasure?
Sorry. Yeah, it was a fun time. Like, I really appreciate you joining us and letting us record with you.
Thank
It
you very
was
much.
it was a very fun experience.
Thank you. It was fun for me
Do
too.
you want to promote yourself? Like, what are you doing? Any projects? Like, where to contact you if someone wants to, I don't know, invite you, like, to, like, do your thing.
Yeah, basically I do all sorts of things, for range from like translations, video editing, sound editing, sound mastering. I can write papers as well. Good grammar skills. So you can contact me at rdn.freelancing@gmail.com.
Okay. Yep. You can send it to me, like, on my Discord, so we can put it here.
Okay.
Yep. Like, I think that would be it.
Yep.
Thank you for joining us, for those who are listening.
Thank you for having me.
Yep. Thank you so much. I hope we made your day happier. I don't know if you enjoyed the show. It was a very dense one, but I had a fun time.
Mhm.
Yep.
Okay, guys. See you later. Have a good one.
See you. Thank you so much.
Cheers.
Bye bye.
Bye.